Hello, welcome to the Phoenix King reading vlog. This is my first reading vlog that I've ever done before, so forgive me if it's kind of boring and kind of weird, but I'm excited to get started on this book because, sorry, I had to turn it down. I'm excited to get started on this book because my friend Damara has raved about this book. She swears this is one of her favorite books. And I was like, you know what, Damara? I trust your judgment. I thought, what better way to read this book than to read it with y'all in vlog style. And also because I just really like watching reading vlogs. Reading vlogs are just so fun. It makes me feel like I'm reading along with everyone. And also just like being in the day in the life of people. So, yeah. Y'all, look at this cover art. So pretty. I'm so excited to start this book. Okay, what is Phoenix King about, you're probably asking? The Ravani kingdom was born of a prophecy, carved from unforgiving desert sands and ruled by the ravenous bloodline, those with the power to command the eternal fire. Elena Adia is the heir to the throne and the only Ravens who cannot wield her family's legendary magic. Oh, snap. As her coronation approaches, she will do whatever it takes to prove herself a worthy successor to her revered father. But she doesn't anticipate the arrival of Yasin Knight, the notorious assassin who now claims fealty to the throne. Elena's father might trust Yasin to be a member of her royal guard, but she's certain he's hiding something. As the threat of war looms like a storm on the horizon, the two begin a dangerous dance of intrigue and betrayal, and the choices they make could burn down the world. What? Burn down the world? Oh my gosh. Also, shout out to fantasy books that have glossaries in the back, because I recently read, what did I just read? The first book of the Broken Earth trilogy. The 5th season. I just recently read the 5th season. When I tell you I was flip-flopping between the glossary throughout the book so that I could be so I could understand what's happening in the book through the language of the fantasy world. Yeah, glossaries and fantasy books definitely help. Oh, the dedication. Though to those who believe that their stories don't matter, keep a fire burning. You never know whose beacon you will become. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Oh, and it's got a map. Oh, yes. Oh, we are going to have a great time reading this book. So yeah, okay, I'm not actually going to start reading right now. I'm actually going to go back to work. But when I clock out, I will start reading this book because I cannot wait. So hang out with me while I work for a little bit, and then we'll get into the reading, I promise. Work is done. I'm all done with work, and now I can read. I'm so excited. Before I read, though, I'm going to show you. I got this beautiful painting from Ross today. It's so pretty. Yeah, I went into Ross to get some more hangers, and I came out with a new painting. Sounds about right. But I couldn't not put it in here. I'm setting up our spare bedroom / my office. This is what I got going on right now for my little office setup. So pretty and cozy. Yeah, so that picture fits just perfectly, and also these vines that I just got as well fit pretty perfectly, and I'm just really excited to just be in this space. And yeah, I got my popcorn. I made myself some tea, chamomile tea, and then I have, where's my book? Oh, there she is. The Phoenix King. I am ready to start. Let's go. Finished chapter 1 in the prologue, and so far it's pretty good. The only complaint that I have is the font. is so small. It's so small. My eyes hurt. Oh well. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's a lot of world building, obviously. I mean, it's a fantasy book. I get it. I know there's going to be world building. But I'm just trying to take like the first maybe like 5% of the book in slowly, because that is a lot of world building and just establishing like the kind of environment that we're in. Good morning. It's Sunday. It's a beautiful Sunday outside. We got a lot on the list of things to do today. Me and my partner have to mow the lawn, and then we're gonna go to the store to grab some. Let me show you. Hold on. I'm gonna go to the store to grab some supplies because I'm redoing our closet. Like, this is our guest room, and I'm redoing the closet because I want it to be like one of those like archways. First of all, okay, hold on. First of all, I want my bookshelf here. I want my bookshelf here. And I even had like placeholders for it. Like, I was so ready to do it. But then I realized that I didn't like the closet, and I needed to redo the closet before I could do the bookshelf. So I'm going to get some drywall to fill these in today. And then hopefully tomorrow, the putty and stuff is done and dry, we can begin painting. Because I want to paint the wall before we obviously put the bookshelves up. So that's another thing we're doing today. We're going to pick out some paint, which I'm stressing out about because I feel like I can't pick the right color. I don't know what the right color is. I want it to be like an earthy, like this kind of like just very ethereal, like earthy tones. And I've got a few options that I like. So I guess it's now just about testing it out. This wall behind me is going to be our accent wall. So this wall is going to be a different color from like this wall. So that's what I'm working on. I'm currently on chapter 5 of Phoenix King. It's been like a week since I started it. Haven't made much progress. I figured I'd just talk to you like this. The Phoenix King is a very like political, like politics heavy. So you have like the different kingdoms, and you have like the different kings, and you have like, you know, these two kingdoms are warring with each other, and then these two kingdoms are warring with each other, and then you have like the assassination type like bounty hunters that are all trying to, they're kind of seen as like the what is it called, like the rebel group, I guess is the name for them. But you know, their intentions are no kings, but how they execute it is pretty gray, morally gray, if you will, or just bad in general. I don't know. But yeah, I think the world building is good. It's just I have to read it kind of slowly so that I understand it. I have to take notes. Like, I'm taking notes for this book, which is a good thing. I think taking notes while reading is not inherently bad. I think if anything, it helps to understand and process what you're reading instead of just reading willy-nilly and just like maybe like forgetting what you're reading. But yeah, I like it so far. Elena is an interesting character. I feel like I don't really know much about her right now. We've only been in her POV twice. Yassine, we've been in his POV twice. I like him. We were introduced to him in the prologue. He's an assassin, and he was on his last mission in the prologue to kill a king. We don't know which king. To kill a king so that he could be free. Last mission, then he's free. But the mission goes wrong, and then he ends up escaping, but he still deflects from what they're called the Aro Hassan, which is the rebel group that I was talking about earlier. And yeah, he seems very like he's got depth and a purpose. And while Elena is the queen to be, but she's trying to dismantle what her father has built, essentially, in order for her to, when she takes the throne, to kind of reinvent the way she rules. She doesn't want to rule like he does. But she's also, her family's like next in line to be the prophet of the Phoenix, which is kind of like I don't know how to explain it, but the prophet of the Phoenix. And unfortunately, she's not able to hold what's called the eternal flame, which is how her family is able to be the prophet. So she's dealing with that, and that's where I left off. So yeah, I'll probably read a little bit later after we get stuff done today. So yeah. Oh, and this is my spooky season mug. morning. I'm coming in with a little reading update, and my update is that I haven't read much since my last update. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I'm kind of bored. I don't know if I'm bored because I'm entering a reading slump, and this is a terrible time to enter a reading slump when starting this big ass fantasy book. But yeah, I think I might be in a bit of a reading slump. I don't know, I'm just bored. I'm bored. Things are moving kind of slowly. The world building is like really dense, and usually I can handle dense world building, but like I said, it may be that I'm entering a reading slump, which is making me harder to concentrate. So I'm gonna try and get some pages in before I start work. And yeah, I also figured out how to make, like, this is a masala chai latte. I figured out how to make one, and my world has changed. It's so, look at that. And it's so good, oh my god. Let's get some pages in before I start work. Oh, okay. I have to correct something I said earlier. So in my previous reading update, I had mentioned that Elena's father is the prophet of the Phoenix King, or the Phoenix Spirit, or deity. I don't know the correct name, but he's not. He's not chosen as the prophet. He's just dedicated basically his entire life to the religion. And I just got to the part where one of the priestesses came down, had him take him. One of the priestesses showed him a message that was like whipped onto one of the priest's back by the eternal flame, and it said "Daughter of Fire." And then he came to the realization that he's not going to be the prophet, because the next prophet would be a woman, which would probably be his daughter, which probably pisses him off because his daughter's not dedicated as he is to the religion. And yeah. So the priestess said, referring to the prophet, the daughter of fire, she will call forth the prophet who will turn all of Sion into a dry, brutal desert. Which is interesting because Elena earlier had mentioned how the first prophet, or the sixth prophet, I can't remember, one of the prophets previously created the forest and the deserts separately, right? Well, each had its own purpose, but she created the forest and the desert, and Elena's like, I would have just created the desert because there's nowhere for enemies to freaking hide. I would have made all run in the desert because there's nowhere for enemies to hide. So maybe that's Elena. Oh, I also don't know if I'm saying her name right. Sorry. Oh, also, I don't know if the king that Yasin tried to kill in the prologue is King Leo. I don't know if it's the same king. It might be a different one. I don't know. There's so many different, like, kingdoms and provinces and different rulers. I'm just trying to get it all straight. What? Why is he arresting her for treason? King Leo just arrested the priestess who told him about the message, and he sensed that she was lying to him in some way. Now, so it's kind of like, I see this as, you know, there's the priestess and the priest are like dedicated to the religion, while the kingdom, King Leo, is also dedicated to the religion to entertain the religious people who are like the majority of his people. But at the end of the day, he's going to defend his kingdom, and he was just told that the prophet's going to burn the kingdom down. So I guess out of fear, he's arresting her. He also doesn't think that his daughter could be the prophet because she can't hold a flame. She gets burned by the eternal fire. And all this information just took place after he did, I guess, a ceremony to appease the gods, essentially. And so now he's like, what the fuck? King Leo. He's got an ego. Oh, I also forgot to mention in the prologue, The reason why Yasin's assassination attempt was spoiled was because the flames from the hearth, like the fireplace in the king's bedchambers, literally like jumped out at him and burned him. So he had no choice but to escape, and he jumped out of the window into the sea. Yeah. Another thing I forgot to mention in the prologue is that the reason why Yasin didn't attack the king is because the king was defenseless, and he had a split second of moral compass, being like, well, I told myself I'd never hurt a defenseless person, which is interesting because, like, isn't he an assassin? Like, isn't he an assassin? Usually assassins go for, like, they don't care if the person is defenseless or not. Like, they got a mission, they gotta kill. So, I just think that was interesting. I wonder how his other jobs, what his other marks were. Good morning. Happy Halloween. It's Halloween today, and I'm really excited. Me and my partner are dressing up as Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. It's a leftover costume from last year, but yeah, good morning. Reading update. I'm about 26%. I haven't made it very far. Like I was saying before, I got bored a little bit in the beginning, but it's actually gotten pretty good in terms of like picking up on the story. I've been taking notes because I don't know, I'm just taking notes, not like, you know, like I'm in a class taking notes, but just like writing down what has happened so far, writing down like important names, important events, theories, and thoughts that I have. It's very, very helpful, especially when it comes to fantasy, but I think it could be applied to other, you know, every kind of read. But anyway, okay, so 26% in, this is what happened so far. So skip ahead if you don't want spoilers. I should have said this in the beginning, that this vlog would probably contain spoilers. Sorry. But anyway, okay, so Samson and Yasin arrived at the palace for Samson to ask Elena's hand in marriage. It's a political marriage. She said yes, yada yada. The reason the political marriage is important is because Samson offers his Black Scales army to the Ravani kingdom, and the Black Scales army is notorious for being like cutthroat, and even the Gentari is afraid of them, and the Gentari are the enemies of the Ravani. Let's see, Elena meets Yasin for the first time with Samson, and she immediately doesn't like him. She says that she kind of has like, he looks kind of like familiar. In my theory, we learn that Yasin is half Gentari, half Ravani. My theory is that his mom is Ravani. Well, she has to be, because Yasin said that his father is the Gentari half. I think that they were maybe friends as a kid, or they encountered each other as a kid. That's maybe why he seems familiar. Anyway, she doesn't like him because he's an assassin, and she's also upset that he's going to be her personal guard per her father's request. And so she makes him, Elena makes Yasin prove himself in what's called like in the training, where they have like game suits, which is kind of like, if you've seen Dune, they have like these little devices that creates like a shield around them so that they can actually like hit hard and, you know, but not get hurt. So that's kind of the technology, but it's like a suit that morphs to your, like every inch of your body, and also like takes your vitals. It sounds really, really cool. I'd love to see that on like film. But in the training exercise, Yasin holds his own against Elena's like right hand person. I forgot the official term for her, but she's kind of like a mother figure for Elena. Her name's Firma, and she's a Yumi, and Yumis are known for their hair being deadly because it can turn into like as sharp as a knife. It's really kind of cool. But anyway, he holds his own against Firma, and then Elena steps in the room and beats the ass. Yasin knows that he can't lay a hand on her because she's the queen in waiting, and that would just be disrespectful, even though Yasin could probably take her. But the reason Yasin is here is because he's trying to earn his freedom, essentially, because he was an assassin with the Arahasin, which is kind of like I wouldn't call them a rebel group, kind of like, they are like an extremist group. They don't believe in kings, and so they take the extremes to like assassinate generals and kings and all that stuff, and that's what Yasin was. That's how we met him, was he was on his way to assassinate a king. Anyway, another thing, the only reason Elena didn't like beat him unconscious is because Samson called the training off because he was watching, and he was like, that's enough. And also after the training duel, Samson finds out how bad Yasin's injury is on his arm. Remember, he burned his arm, or I'm sorry, the flame jumped out at him when he went to go assassinate the one king and burned his arm. Okay, Elena and Samson have a heartfelt, intimate like conversation, very heart to heart, after the training session. I really like that scene between them. Elena was kind of gauging Samson's intentions. She's ultimately convinced that he is in for, you know, his people, but also to help her people as well. And he says that he wants to garner peace between the Gentari. But later we find out that Samson, you know, Samson goes to speak with the king, King Leo, and King Leo calls him on his BS. He's like, you lied to my daughter. And Samson's like, I don't know what you mean. And the king is like, yeah, I know that you're mining ore, which is what the Gentari use the Sasharian, who is Samson's people. They have enslaved them to mine for the ore that the Gentari use on their big brass city. And King Leo's like, I know you're mining for ore and you're taking it somewhere. No one knows where it is. Or no one knows where it's going, because one person that saw some suspicious activity later ended up dead. Explain that, Samson. But yeah, Samson ultimately is like, yeah, no, fuck the Centauri. I want to kill them. I'll do my best to garner peace, but also building up my army for the inevitable failure of the peace agreement. Okay, so the royal party has announced the engagement of Samson and Yasin to the people. And Elena gives a very... First, her father speaks and was like, you know, the people love you guys. Really speaking to the, like, religious aspect of things. And then Elena speaks. She gives a very unifying speech. She addresses everyone as countrymen instead of the traditional, like, blessing greeting. And that kind of takes her father back, like, wait. But he actually, after her speech, like, pats her head or puts his hand on her shoulder. I don't know. He praises her, which is more than she's gotten ever since we've met both of them. Oh, another thing, let's see. We also learned it's been about 500 suns or 500 years since the last prophet, so it's been quite a long time. And, okay, so my understanding is that the prophet speaks for the phoenix. The phoenix is the one that pretty much created the eternal flame. So the eternal flame was created after the last prophet was picked, and that last prophet that was picked pretty much burned down everyone and everything, whether you were innocent or guilty. She burned it down, and then because people were at war, and she was like, fuck this, you guys, this is ridiculous. We're gonna start from ground zero. And then she created the eternal flame and said, guard this. And so that's why there's every year, or not every year, that's why there's the royal family in charge of keeping the eternal flame, and then also kind of keeping the hopes up of the like, really, like, I don't want to call them extremists, but King Leo kind of sees them as that. He has to appease to their ideology. I'm still struggling to kind of parse the difference between, like, King Leo's belief and then, like, the priest and the priestess's beliefs of, like, the phoenix and the prophet and all of that. But that's my understanding of it currently. Anyway, we learn that the prophet is going to be a young girl. Remember, the one priest got marked by the eternal flame, and it said daughter of the fire, which was in runes, which I forgot to say, King Leo actually locked up the priestess who told him that, because he thought that she was trying to pull one over on him, because he can't read the runes. And so he's like, who's to say she's, you know, saying this rune says this, but it could be something else. So we learned that the prophet's going to be a young girl who's marked with either a rune or flame, but she won't burn, and that's the key indicator for being the prophet. Let's see, after the announcement, King Leo decides to go to the ancient library, which is under the palace, and it's full of scrolls, okay, which paper is a luxury in this time, because everything is tech, so that's just another status symbol or status of wealth, having access to knowledge in this form. Anyway, King Leo was looking for any information regarding the prophet. His wife, Anna, would spend many hours in the library combing over many scrolls, specifically ones pertaining to the prophet, and a lot of them appear to be from the priestess Nomu, which I think is the priestess from the last time of the prophet. And so he finds some scrolls that were scribbled with Anna's initials. She used her maiden last name. This was her way of making her mark on the world so that she wouldn't be forgotten. So she would mark all the scrolls that she read, or marked up and things like that. But he takes a few of the scrolls that he finds into his office, and some of the scrolls he found had those runes, the one similar to the one that said daughter of fire, etched on some of the scrolls, but he can't decipher it. There's no key. Elena comes into his office shortly after he discovers the scrolls. He's got them all laid out. She's knocking. He's like, oh shit, I gotta hide them. So he puts them in the drawer, but he forgets the little ring that indicates, like, this is the little ring that belongs to scrolls, like the ring that you put on to hold the scrolls. He left it on the desk. She picks it up and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing. He takes it and puts it in his drawer. Elena finds it sus because she's like, Dad never goes into the fucking library, especially not after since Mom died, so what the hell? And so before we get into Elena's reaction, we learn that King Leo is protecting his daughter because, quote, to become the ruler of the fire throne, to claim the title of the Phoenix King, the heir needed to make a sacrifice, either one of blood or one of love, which is how we learn how Anna died. Anna learned of this generational sacrifice, and that's why she was considered to have gone mad at the end of her life, and that's why she jumped in front of the eternal flame, when the eternal flame lashed out at King Leo once, and she perished, like literally burned up. There was no trace of her left, which is sad. And I think Elena was like 7 when this happened. Very sad. But I think this is why King Leo refuses to teach Elena how to hold fire. I also think this is why maybe he's also accepting of this alliance, not just because of the black scales, but also because maybe there's an off chance that Samson could be the sacrifice instead of King Leo, because mind you, King Leo is the only blood relative left of Elena. Oh, and this is also why the Ravani line is said to be like mad, like generationally, like, you know, a little loopy, okay? Because they always had to make excuses why one member of the family just randomly died. So anyway, okay, so Elena's reaction to her seeing her father studying these scrolls. She goes down to the library and tries to suss out what her dad was looking for, because it was suspicious. She doesn't find anything. However, Firma, like her right-hand person, also mother figure, went with her to the library, and then she's like, Elena, I got a secret to show you. I was going to show you this on your coronation, but since we're down here, she showed a secret chest that Anna had kept of all her most precious scrolls. And Elena's like, oh my gosh, this is so fucking cool. So Elena takes one out. She starts, ciphering through them, and she finds one scroll that, when light was shown on it, showed like figures dancing, and Elena's like, oh my god, I think this is instructions on how to hold flame. But the final move is torn off, so we can't see it. We're almost done, I promise. Yasin and Samson and the Black Scales go on a mission to find one of the informants of the Arohasan. Remember, Yasin gave Samson a holopod with like all of the sleeper cell agents in the Ravani city in Rani. And to prove Yasin's loyalty, essentially, and to prove that this information is correct, they had to go on a mission to find one of the oh my gosh, I'm losing it. One of the informants. Thank you for your help. I had to find one of the informants, which the mission went well. They found the informants. Yasin had to do a little chase and chase her down, because she knew who he was. She knew that, like, oh, I'm being followed. Okay, they were trained by the same people. So anyway, it was a success. The information he gave was correct, and so he's kind of like cleared, right? He's cleared. And then King Leo was like, can we really clear someone like that? Really? So King Leo is obviously still sussed by Yasin. And Samson is like, oh, I don't know if I mentioned, but Samson and Yasin are like, well, we're best friends. They were both in the Assassin Guild together, and they had each other's back, right? But then at 18, Samson decided to run away. He said, I'll come back for you, Yasin, and he never did. So there's that like sore spot there, but Yasin knows Samson is very loyal. And I think Samson is loyal to a fault, right? He got out of the Arohasan so that he could build this empire to help his people. The, oh my god, I'm blanking on this people's name. Sisharian, I believe. And, yeah, that's what he's doing now. But Samson definitely goes to bat for Yasin. And I'm scared that there's going to be some type of betrayal on Samson's part. He seems too nice. Too nice. Not kind. He seems too nice. I also wanted to mention I really like the writing, because the metaphors and the things like that really ground us in the world further in a way that, like I was saying, they live in a desert, right? The Rani kingdom is in the middle of the desert, which is notoriously dry. And for them to be like, I feel like I'm drowning in his blue eyes, I don't know, it's just an interesting way of looking at things. I can't think of examples right now, but the writing is just really beautiful, and again, further grounds us into the world that we are in. So yeah, so I'm gonna continue reading this morning before I get to work, so read with me.
So I finished The Phoenix King. And yeah, that was a wild ride. It's a crime that the next one is not in my hands. I'm not going to do a heavy spoiler final thoughts because I don't want to spoil the end for y'all because a lot happens. I want to go over some of the technical things that I enjoyed, like the pacing, the world building, the prose and the writing were beautiful. I do like how she just would always keep us grounded in the world that she's created with the metaphors that she uses, or, you know, using language within the world that she created. I think that the political intrigue was done really well. I do think that the deals made for political reasons were plausible and understandable, and I did like that there was always this undertone of possible deceit from certain parties within these political enmeshments. The climax of the book happened so quickly. I didn't realize what was happening until it already had happened, and I had to reread like that entire scene over again because I'm like, wait, wait, wait. And I really liked that because I felt like I was experiencing the events in the way that the character experienced it in that moment, because even the character in the book was like what the heck just happened. Now, as far as characters go, my favorite character personally is Yasin. Maybe it's because he was the first character we were introduced to in the book. We were introduced to him in the prologue, so we really got to know him right off the bat. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But I feel like I understood his motivations. I wouldn't say the most, but I feel like I understood his motivations, and I feel like maybe I resonated with him or I felt sorry for him. But I also think it's because we got to know a lot of his background and also his current situation to understand like how he's making the decisions he is currently, and also how it's impacting him internally. As far as Elena goes, I do think that I know that she's like the main character, I guess. I don't know if she was the main character. Honestly, it felt like Yasin was the main character. But anyway, Elena's character I thought was okay. I feel like she could have been fleshed out more, but maybe we see more of her in book 2. I don't know. And by fleshed out, I mean, I feel like we got a little bit of understanding when it comes to her relationship with her father and her relationship, or lack thereof, with her mother and her mother figure. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I think she was as fleshed out as she could be in the first book, because this I think is a trilogy, or it's going to be a trilogy. But Elena's motivations were just give me answers. Like, there's this weight on her shoulder that she's expected to be, well, she is going to be the queen, and she's expected to be able to hold the flame, and she's struggling with that. And she's sitting here like, how am I going to get the people to trust me and follow me if I can't even do this simple act that represents our entire bloodline? And not only that, but her dad is holding secrets. She knows this, and he's just keeping her at an arm's distance. Don't get me started on King Leo, okay? His character, I felt sorry for him at times, but I also was like, yo, like, this is not the right move. Like, this is not okay. Some things that he did, I was like, I did not agree with. And however, I did understand from his perspective how he thought what he was doing was okay. But it didn't really make anything any better. Look, I'm trying not to spoil anything. That's what it feels like. I'm talking in circles. But yeah, King Leo kept Elena at a distance. And I just felt bad for her because she just wanted to know why he wasn't teaching her the things that he was teaching her. Now, when we reveal why that is, which I don't know if I remember telling y'all about it, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say it now, just in case. But when we reveal why he's holding back on sharing, why he doesn't want to teach her how to hold a flame, okay, that makes sense. But then it's also like, who are you helping? Because it's not Elena. You think you're helping her, but you're really putting her more at a disadvantage. Okay, we got to talk about the romantic element of this book, because there is one. And I remember seeing one review about it, saying that the romantic element happened very quickly, and they didn't understand how, or they didn't feel like there was enough of the characters getting to know each other for that to happen. And I have to disagree up to a point. I disagreed with the person saying that they don't believe that there was enough happening for the characters to feel the way that they felt. I think there was a moment in this book where character number 1 fell in love with character number 2. And I was like, oh, I see it. Like, this is the moment that they fell in love with that person. Now, where I agree with this individual is how far the relationship went in the short time that they had together. We thought it was just gonna be a kiss, but it goes a little farther than that. Seemingly out of nowhere. I remember reading the scene and I was like, oh, that's cute. And I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. We're moving real quick. And after processing it and thinking bigger picture and seeing what situation that they had just come from, I was like, I guess I can see how they got from point A to point B. All I have to say is, if you go through something intense with someone, especially if it's emotionally intense, it can bring you closer together because you're both connecting emotionally on a shared experience. That's all I have to say about that. And finally, second to finally, that cliffhanger I was not expecting that. I was like, oh, like everything that I had predicted or thought was going to happen didn't happen. I really try and see if I can guess the ending or guess the twist, and I did not see this twist coming. Okay, I didn't see it coming. Okay. Aparna Verma, you got me with that one. And finally, that last chapter from Firma's point of view, that was good. That was good. I can't go into why it hits the way it did, but like, I understood more of Firma's character. I understood more of Elena's character. So yeah, that's it. That's it. I really can't express enough how much I enjoyed this book. Are there any things that I didn't like about this book? I don't know if it was just me struggling to get through it, but I felt like there were just slow parts in the book. But maybe that's just me. I really think that was a reader error or just me struggling to get through the book, and I was in a slight reading slump. So I don't think that has anything to do with the book's pacing. But for me, in my reading experience, there were just some slower parts that I was struggling to get through. Oh, you know what? Yes, I didn't like how stretched out the ending was. After the climax of the book, things kind of slow down, but then they slow down, and I'm like, can we just get to the ending of the book? Like, I wish the ending was a little bit faster. I think there were some parts that could have been cut out, especially after what happened previous to that. But I think other than that, no notes. I'm going to read the second one eventually when my library gets it. Thanks for coming along on this reading journey with me. If you enjoyed, don't forget to grab yourself a library card on your way out by hitting that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!